Welcome to Kolbe Academy's webinar on our online program. I'm very excited to have you here. For those of you that missed my introduction in the last webinar, I'm the Chief Academic Officer. I've been at Kolbe Academy for 20 years, and I helped to launch the online school in 2013. My husband and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have 4 kids, 3 of which are Kolbe students. So I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about the K-12 online program, or pre-K-12 online program. I'll kick off the presentation with an overview of the curriculum we use, and then I'll bring back Nicole and Tony, our elementary and middle and high school directors, to talk to you about the features of those programs. And then I'll be back on again to talk about all the exciting enrichment opportunities and our vibrant student community here at Kolbe. Let's go ahead and start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right. So I'd like to give you first a very brief overview of the curriculum we use in our online program. So now, while we are a fully online program, we really want our students using physical books instead of digital texts and resources where possible. So that might be surprising, but it is a core principle in our curriculum choices. So as you know, we are a classical program, so you're going to find us using primary sources where appropriate, especially in the high school. So for example, in ninth grade Greek literature, students will be reading the Iliad and the Odyssey, while at the same time reading authors such as Herodotus, Xenophon, and Thucydides in 9th grade Greek history. So now you won't find a classical biology text out there, but Kolbe is especially known for balancing its classical curriculum with rigorous opportunities in the areas of math and science. So you'll find that in general, we use secular science textbooks, which is a bit different from other classical schools or homeschool programs. It's important to keep in mind that we integrate our beautiful Catholic faith throughout our courses, not just in our theology courses. So for example, you are going to find that in our history courses, there is a special emphasis on relating everything back to the incarnation. In biology, you'll find a thorough treatment of ethical issues, such as stem cell research, cloning, and how Catholics approach the theory of evolution. So in other words, Catholic formation doesn't stop in our theology classes, but is naturally ongoing throughout the curriculum. And through Kolbe's full service bookstore, you can purchase every book that you'll need, including the right edition and translation of the text in our curriculum, which is a very important thing. All right, so our live instruction is really one of the places that Kolbe shines. Our students not only have access to excellent instructors to lead them through a course, but they are also immersed in a curriculum that applies the philosophy of Ignatian education, which leads them to self-activity, mastery, and ultimately formation. Our instructors do an incredible job engaging our students in the online classroom. You won't see teachers just lecturing from PowerPoints. Instead, you'll see them motivating our students to participate in discussion, jumping on webcam to answer directed questions, or submitting their answers to practice problems in a poll pod. The live online courses provide structure and accountability for students, and they'll receive grading and feedback from their teachers on assignments, projects, tests, and papers. We offer a multitude of learning opportunities that students would typically experience in a brick and mortar school, such as dissecting a fetal pig in biology lab, or baking cookies in baking club, or participating in a live talent show with their classmates. So we'll talk more about our vibrant student community later, but right now I'd like to introduce our Director of Elementary Online, Nicole O'Connor, to speak more about the program for the younger students.
Thank you, Mrs. Langle. As Megan mentioned, I'm Nicole O'Connor. I'm the Director of the Online Elementary Program. I've been with Kolbe for about 9 years. I started as a classical composition instructor, but was also doing a lot with elementary age children in other avenues. And so when we launched the elementary program in 2020, I was really excited to be able to take my passion for that area and those children and my love for classical education and form this program. So the program is a full program. This is very different than the 612 program because when you sign up for the elementary program, you sign up for all subject areas. And the reason for this is that as a classical school, we integrate subject areas, especially in in a more direct way in the elementary ages. So, what they're learning in literature and history is very much integrated into what they're doing in composition. So it's not as easy to just take one class over the other. We also have flexible due dates. So in 612, they'll have due dates that are every day. We pace our assignments for every day, Monday through Thursday, but we allow a catch-up period through the following Monday for families who need a little more time to get those submissions in, since it does fall more on the parent than the children when it comes to submitting some of the work, especially in those early years. We also have one teacher per grade in kindergarten through first, and then we have 2 teachers for second through fifth. All right, so we launched a preschool curriculum last year, a beautiful curriculum that our homeschool families have been enjoying. And we wanted to invite our littlest learners to get a little taste of our online platform, our online format. So we have labs that meet Monday through Thursday for 30 minutes, and we have a different focus for each day. And the idea is that these are very hands-on labs meant to get preschoolers together, singing, playing with Play-Doh, and doing different crafts. So Monday we have a liturgy focus, Tuesday's reading readiness with phonics games and read aloud. Wednesday's arts and music, so they'll be doing crafts or singing songs, and then Thursday is math readiness. So they'll do logic and math games. Every month, the teacher sends out quarterly goals, and we'll do some live assessments with your preschooler. Not anything scary, but just, count to 10 or different things to help assess their learning, just so that we can communicate back to you as the parent fun things that you can do with them at home to help them grow. We also integrate liturgy and the liturgical calendar into everything we do. We have a virtue of the month we have them participate in, monthly play menus, and a liturgical living send out that we send to all our families. All right, in the kindergarten and first grade programs, these are full programs, so their subjects are online. We have science and history that they do asynchronously, which means there's a short 15-minute video that the students engage in and some outside activities. We like to keep science and history very much focused on wonder and understanding nature and the world around them and God's beautiful creation, and so they partake in that very much in the home. Our live time on Mondays, they will meet for morning meeting, which is much like a circle time you would see in a brick and mortar classroom, where they'll do calendar and weather and virtue and manners and just build that school community, work on the virtue of the month. And then they have their religion class, where we use our Faith and Life series and our Baltimore Catechism to work through the religion curriculum. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they will meet with small groups of students to go through their math curriculum and their language arts curriculum. And in kindergarten, they'll have 25 minutes of math, 25 minutes of language arts, and they have a learning lab period, which is very much enrichment or the teacher differentiating to what the children in that class need. In first grade, they get a little bit more live time with these micro reading groups. So they have their small groups, and then we break them down even smaller, about 4 to 5 kids, so that they get one-on-one reading instruction. This is new for this next year, and the reason we added these small reading groups is because as a classical school, a big piece of our mission is preparing them to read these classical texts that are more challenging. So we have a wonderful reading specialist on staff who assesses the students' reading goals and helps them move through the curriculum. And we also have reading remediation for students who may be struggling for reading, because as we know, that light bulb of reading doesn't happen at the same time for everyone, and that's totally okay. And our program is designed to account for that. All right, so our second grade is our bridge year. It is a bridge year between the K-1 program and the 3 to 5 program. So what that means is we're increasing their lifetime a little bit. We're introducing them to another teacher, but they still will have one main source for all their courses and all of their assignments. So on Mondays, they'll have morning meeting in religion, but we have an asynchronous period where they can go get support in science and history. On Tuesdays, they'll have English and math English for 50 minutes and math for 50 minutes. So that's longer than they had the previous year. And then they'll have an English homework hangout where they can get support in those subjects. Wednesday and Thursday is the same thing. Where they're getting extra support in the subjects they need. Math will be on Thursdays. Another great thing about the second grade program that helps it bridge is if your child needs more support or is ready for more live time, we have some add-on courses that you can add on to their second grade schedule. You can add reading lab if your child needs more support in reading, math lab, writing lab, and then we have English from the roots up taught to our second and third graders to introduce them to Greek and Latin roots. So it's a great introduction to Latin. We offer Latin courses in the upper grades in fourth and fifth. So if you're interested in getting them started on that early, we have that available as early as second grade. All right, and then our 3-5 program. Our 3-5 program is the most full of the programs as they're getting older and can handle more subjects live. So they have homeroom, religion, English, and math on Mondays. They have English and math for 50 minutes and homework hangout on Tuesdays. And then on Wednesdays, they'll have science live for 50 minutes and history live for 50 minutes. And then Thursday, again, English, math, and then homework hangout. We have add-ons as well for the 3-5 program. We have Latin 1 for 4th grade, Latin 2 and 5th. We have math lab. We also have a math fact lab for kids who needs more support in regular practice and memorization with math facts. We have a writing lab, and we have special education resource labs for each of those grade levels for students with learning disabilities or students who need more support in the online classes. So this is just a sample schedule for a first grade student. You can find our full schedule on our website under scheduling, but this is an example of what a day would look like for a first grader. They would meet live from 9 to 10:40 Eastern, and then they would have assignments to complete offline. So as Mrs. Langle mentioned, while we are an online school, we very much prioritize pen and paper assignments and offline reading and offline submissions. So their learning definitely doesn't end right when they log off of class. There's still enrichment, there's assignments, there's writing, and there's reading that they'll be completing off of the screen when they finish this schedule. And then as you'll see, they have their little mini reading group to start the day. They have learning lab, and then their small groups, which would be that math and English time. And then on Wednesday, a little lighter day, they'll get more asynchronous times. They might do more of their offline reading or classwork that day. And then they have their reading lab and their small groups on Thursday. So I love giving a little peek into our classrooms because what we do at Kolbe is so unique and special. Nowhere else can you find a trip to the place where Jesus was baptized in a virtual setting and these beautiful conversations that our students have. So in the live classroom, they're doing a lot of very direct instruction. So the kids have whiteboards. As you can see, they're on webcam. They're having them write their answers. They're looking and they're getting immediate feedback. That's the main reason for our live classes. They have direct access to a teacher to guide them. But we also like to have fun. So they also do experiments. They do field trips. They'll do tactile phonics. For example, you see those letter tiles that our younger students are working with. And we try our best to recreate real experiences as much as we can, even though we're using a virtual platform for delivery. Some other ways that we love to build community in the online program are through traditions. As we know, our Catholic traditions are beautiful and they keep us anchored to our faith. So we have traditions at our school as well. We do an All Saints program on All Saints Day, or before All Saints Day, since we take that holy day off. But the students will memorize a speech or a little essay about a saint of their choice. And then they dress up as the saint in the present. And they act like the saint all day, and it's the most adorable thing you've ever seen. And so we do that every year. It's always a good time. We try to push them towards thematic saints that integrate with the curriculum they're learning. And then in fourth grade, it's always the super fun year for the students. They're learning about ancient Egypt and Greece and Rome. And so they have a party at the end of their big study as lovers of beauty and wisdom. So these were some masks that they made. We also do a recitation program at the end of spring where they all recite poems that they've memorized for the year. So here's a look into the assignment platform. So that's what they're doing during live time. For assignments in K-5, you'll see we use something called Schoology to deliver our assignments. There are weekly folders where you'll find your assignments and what you need to either print off or complete on the computer. Most of the assignments are off of the computer and you have to submit them after, but there will be a few that would be on the computer as well. We also like to encourage sharing. So they have a class bulletin board. There's a lot of missing teeth in first and second grade. So that's why this one is a missing teeth board. But other things might be traditions that your family's partaking in Lent or things like that. And here's just another aspect of our program that I wanted to highlight. Every Friday, you as the parent will receive a document called A Week at a Glance, which tells you exactly what they will be studying the following week, what their assignments will be, and helps you as the homeschooling parent really set up a routine and a schedule for your child. Also, as I mentioned, being classical, recitation, and memorization are interwoven into our program in all of the years. And so we use Schoology has an option where the students record themselves saying a recitation. So this was a student reciting Where Go the Boats by Robert Louis Stevenson. And then this is a beautiful poem written by one of our students as well. All right, well, I could go on, but I will pass it off to Mr. Guzzaldo. He's going to tell you the highlights of our middle and high school program. But if you have any other questions about elementary, there's more information on our website. We have a scheduling page and your advisor would love to talk to you more about it.
Hello everyone, my name is Tony Guzzaldo and I'm the Middle and High School Online Learning Director at Kolbe Academy. Looks like we've got a question or two coming into the Q&A, and I just wanted to mention that we'll tackle those once we get to the end of the presentation. We can answer any questions that you all have. So I wanted to start by pointing to some commonalities between the elementary program and then how middle and high school work, and then also talk about some differences just so we can all make sense of it. So in grades 6 through 12, Kolbe Academy is continuing the classical and Catholic curriculum that students began in K through 5, and then building upon that. Just like in K through 5, we have mission-driven teachers who are experts in their fields and their subject areas. Just like K through 5, classes are held Monday through Friday, and Monday through Thursday, excuse me. And Fridays are like a catch-up day where there aren't any live scheduled classes, but there could be assignments that come due. And then just like K through 5, in grades 6 to 12, we have support services available for students. A couple of important differences are, first of all, that the 6 through 12 program does not need to be taken where all subjects come as a package. So it is possible to take some subjects in certain classes online, and then others in other formats. So you don't have to be full-time taking all the subjects online in grades 6 through 12. You can kind of take classes as a part-time student or a la carte or mix and max formats. And then also a difference to note is that in grades 6 through 12, a given course meets once or twice per week, depending on grade level and subject area. It is not the case that students are meeting daily in their with the same teacher in the same subject. That is not true in 6 through 12. So what I wanted to do is kind of share a few screenshots of what live class looks like in the grade 6 through 12, because I think this is really what parents are after when you're signing up for online courses, and this is what live online brings to the table. For example, one second, switch slides. In Religion 8, what you're seeing here is a standard layout for lecture, for discussion. You have a PowerPoint that's being displayed. You have an instructor who is instructing on that PowerPoint. You can see that there's a question and answer box that does not have any questions in it in this screenshot, but that is a place where students could be posting questions. You may also see teachers make use of a chat box where students can chat with the teacher, with each other throughout the lesson. Teachers also have available features like poll pods where they can put a comprehension question to check for understanding or something like that students can answer. But this is just kind of like a standard basic layout. But we can do a lot more than that. So let me give you some more examples. Next, you're seeing, in this case, Mrs. Powers, who is in costume. And if you get to know Mrs. Powers, you won't be surprised to see her in costume. Turns out math and theater do go together pretty well, at least if you're Mrs. Powers. She's dressed here as circumference, and she has a PowerPoint with a math problem on it, but then she has a whiteboard overlay that she is able to basically write on the PowerPoint slide to demonstrate how to solve this problem. And in that way, students can see math being demonstrated live as if this was a chalkboard or a dry erase board in a classroom. And it also presents the possibility for students to also be able to write on screen sometimes. So depending on how the teacher is organizing things, that's a possibility as well. So it's kind of like the virtual equivalent of a teacher asking a student to come to the board to solve the problem. We can do that in our virtual environment. And then here you're also seeing the chat box is open where students can be interacting with each other and asking questions and things like that. Next, we have a sample from Literature 8. The instructor here has created a whole series of text boxes where students are writing in response to some kind of prompt live in the class. And in this way, the teacher is able to give them feedback on how they're writing. The students are able to see each other's writing, which can be very beneficial. And they're also able to engage in discussion in the chat box. In this way, the students are able to give or receive live feedback on their performance in class. So that's another excellent feature of Adobe Connect. We even do labs. We do real labs, actually. So in this case, what you're seeing is a demonstration of a fetal pig dissection. But what you're not seeing is that students are at home with their own lab kits, and they are performing a fetal dissection, at their kitchen table or something like that at home. And they're able to follow along step by step with the instructor. The instructor checks in with them to see how they're doing. The students can ask questions, and then they are able to move together as a class step by step, just as you might see in a live lab, in-person lab. And our students purchase custom lab kits from a place called Quality Science Labs that has made labs that are tailored to our curriculum, so that they are able to do all the things that they would do in a normal live lab. And then at the end of this, of course, they would write up a lab and submit that for their grade, and get feedback on that performance as well. And then lastly, I wanted to just give a quick snapshot of Schoology. As you heard from Mrs. O'Connor, Schoology is our learning management system. And one important difference that I want to note is that in grades 6 through 12, the students will have a different Schoology course for each subject. So if you are in an English course, you have a separate English course Schoology page that you would get your assignments, take assessments, you can view grades, there are discussion boards sometimes. You can see an upcoming feed in the lower right of this screenshot here, which tells the student what assignments are coming and when they are due. It tells parents that too, which is handy. But in K-5, the students are in one Schoology page and all their subjects are housed there. In 6 through 12, it's a different course for each subject. But effectively, it works the same way. This is just where students get all the things they need and are able to see the things they need to do, download worksheets, all that kind of stuff. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it off back to Mrs. Langill, who is going to give an overview of other programs and features at Kolbe Academy.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. All right, so we're going to first talk about the student support programming that we have. Do you want to advance that slide for me, Tony? Perfect, thank you. All right, so while our student support service aren't exclusively for students in our online program, they have been specifically targeted to students who choose our online courses. We have an extensive amount of student support programming, such as professional tutoring, accountability mentoring, and content support labs in the areas of math and writing, as well as special education services to serve students who need accommodations, resource support, and education plans. So there is a student support webinar later today, so I'd invite you to go to that to hear about all the details. But this has been a very successful program in our online school to really support students in online courses. And this is the first year we've actually had it, and next year will be the year 2. All right, moving along to our homeroom program and our morning meeting. So morning meeting is the first meeting of the week for the K and first grade students. In morning meeting, they study virtue and grade level appropriate social and academic skills. The teachers guide students through various activities such as calendar, student of the week, some virtue challenges, study skills, and even read alouds. Basically, we're trying to form them as a whole person in that morning meeting, and it helps kick off the week for them. And then similarly, we have a more formalized homeroom program in grades 2 through 12. It's a dynamic and interactive environment that builds community and offers academic support to these students. Each homeroom teacher will vary the live activities with the students to focus on student community, mastering key study skills, digital citizenship, and a variety of other social, spiritual, and academic topics, but all ordered towards student success in our online school and formation of the student as a whole. And now a little bit about our enrichment opportunities. So for families wanting to add PE, art, or music, we do offer asynchronous courses for different grade levels in those areas. Those courses include a monthly video with an expert instructor and then monthly activities to complete at home. So we have that. We have PE for grades K through 6 and art in grades K through 8 and then music in K through 6. All right, and then finally, I want to talk a little bit about our Kolbe community. We really have an amazing, vibrant community here at Kolbe, and it might not be intuitive to think that we have this robust community among our students, but we absolutely do. So from community-focused clubs like Yearbook, Newsletter, and our weekly news show, our students get to come together and really show their school spirit. So, and then we also offer things like a live Christmas concert and a talent show in the spring where our students can showcase their incredible talents, and our student body is incredibly talented. I'm always blown away by those performances. Our students also have an incredible spirit of service, and you'll see that firsthand in our National Honor Society peer tutoring program, which offers free live tutoring to students in grades 4 through 12 on Monday through Thursday. And that's not to be confused with our professional tutoring. We do also offer professional tutoring, but the peer tutoring program is hosted by our National Honor Societies. And to top it all off, we have an extensive number of clubs offered to our students, such as chess club, creative writing, coding club. Basically anything that a student might have an interest in, we probably have a club for it, and they can pick where they are best suited to do that. All right, and then a very natural extension of our community at Kolbe is the rich faith life that we offer. Our spiritual life group holds weekly school rosaries and occasional special events. For example, yesterday they hosted live Stations of the Cross during our assembly period. And we do a multitude of special events during Catholic Schools Week that both speak to the faith life and the community aspects of our school. And yearly, we offer a student retreat with usually very well-known speakers. In fact, this year, which is coming up in about a month from now, we're going to have speakers like Father Spitzer and Monsignor James Shea, along with others that give talks to our students, and we offer small group opportunities for them during those days. And then finally, we have a focus each month on a different virtue, following a cycle of virtue that is laid out by the Nashville Dominican Sisters. All right, and while our in-person graduation isn't only for students who do online courses, I wanted to make sure I mentioned it here, as the students who take online courses get to know each other so well in live classes that graduation tends to be a huge reunion after years of studying Kolbe's curriculum together. And this coming year, our in-person graduation will be held in Atlanta, Georgia on May 22nd and 23rd. And one last thing, our recent extension of our amazing community has been the organization of a few Kolbe trips. So this past summer, we had a group of about 18 students that went to France on a 10-day long tour. And then most recently, we had a large group of students attend the March for Life in DC. And it was an honor for me to be there. It was really wonderful to see and to meet all of those students. And we anticipate continuing to have trips like that going into future years. All right, so really we're at a point here where we can open it up to any questions you might have. I don't know if there's any, let me look at the Q&A pod to see if there's anything that needs to be answered. So Susanna asked, does the graduation location change each year? That's a really good question. We have been in Atlanta for, this will be our, well, we had 2 years before COVID that we had in person. Then we had 2 years where it wasn't in person. And then for the past 3 years, we've been in Atlanta. I don't know if we'll be in Atlanta forever, but for now it seems to be working. I myself live in Atlanta. We have a couple other administrators that are not too far away. And so it's helpful for organizing an event like that. Great question. Nicole or Tony, were there any questions that you wanted to address out loud? Nicole, I think there was one about memory work, maybe, that you wanted to jump in on.
Sure. I answered it in text, but I'm happy to speak a little more to it. The question was, do you do any memory work for younger kids that would fall under the classical trivium path of grammar? And the answer is a resounding yes. We do a lot of memory work, starting as young as they come, through songs and poems, but also we do recitation. So they'll memorize from the Baltimore Catechism, the I am statements, they'll memorize scripture, they'll memorize different poems. And every year, as they're memorizing, they have preliminary memory work that they're doing, but they also all memorize a poem by the end of the year that they perform.
Thank you. All right, so someone asked if students can enroll at any time of the year. And for our online courses, kind of the answer is yes and no. On a very limited basis, if you decide to enroll middle of the semester, we may be able to admit you, but the best plan is always to enroll at the beginning of the year. Our classes begin August 19th this coming year. But our homeschool courses have rolling admission, and you can certainly enroll in those at any time. And there's more on that. And also our asynchronous online courses, you can also enroll in at any time of the year. So these online courses, we definitely go on a school schedule, kind of your typical school schedule. And so while we can accommodate students in the middle of the year, it's more on a case-by-case basis. And then Nisha asked, do middle schoolers have timed or closed book semester exams? And that's also a really good question. In high school, we have semester exams that do have cumulative aspects to them. And so in middle school, they do have semester exams, but we kind of ramp them up towards that cumulative aspect. So in 6th grade, while they do have an exam at the end of the semester, it's usually just on like the last unit or chapter of that particular test, and they are closed book. So good question. I think that might be all the questions that are outstanding right now. Does anybody else have any other additional questions? Well, very good. Thank you all for being here.